Incident Command System ensures that you will be assigned a role with a limited and specific set of tasks to perform, as well as that you will have a limited number of people reporting to you. Under the Incident Command System, command staff consists of the pod director, the safety officer, the liaison officer, and the public information officer. The pod director serves as overall director of staff and activities and provides overall supervision and leadership at the pod. The pod director is responsible for creating the incident action plan along with the planning section. Before a pod is open to the public, all pod staff will need to be briefed before heading to section-specific trainings. The pod director is responsible for conducting the general briefing, along with the other members of the command team. Briefing checklists are available to provide guidance to command and section chiefs on points that should be covered during the briefings. In the general briefing, the pod director will introduce command staff and section leads and let them know where JIT will be held. Welcome staff to the pod and thank them for their participation. Discuss the goals and objectives of the pod, as well as what type of medication and vaccines are being dispensed, and note the times of the pod opening and closing. The pod director will also need to tell staff about logistical issues, such as where bathrooms are located, and information about snacks, water, and meals. They will also need to remind people that working under ICS means reporting to one supervisor, and remind them to check in and out with registration. Remind them to inform supervisors of any special needs, and advise staff and volunteers about opportunities to receive prophylaxis for them and their families.
So we'll start promptly at 8 a.m. mobilizing and setting up the staging at the Long Beach Department of Health and Human Services. We'll set up our pod. Everybody needs to check in and get their vests and their assignments. We will have a general briefing, so we will have a little bit of a briefing with the everybody involved, as well as for the section chiefs. We will have a briefing following that. And then the mass prophylaxis for staff and volunteers will begin.
The pod safety officer is responsible for monitoring and assessing hazardous and unsafe situations and developing measures to assure personal safety. During a general briefing, the safety officer will provide instructions for pod staff to keep clients and pod workers safe. She or he will tell staff about what should be done if there is a real emergency, or if there is a need to evacuate from the pod. Mention again the availability of first aid and mental health special assistance personnel for staff to use if necessary. Advise staff on some basic safety rules, such as taking breaks, wearing weather-appropriate clothing, and calling site security if any disruptive situations arise. The Pod Public Information Officer, or PIO, coordinates information sharing internally in the pod and externally to the media. The PIO officer will inform staff what to do if approached by any news media. They may be asked to say a few brief words at the general briefing, and may be asked to present a summary of available situation-related media to staff. They can also advise staff which media agencies or outlets will most likely be present, and remind staff to report any rumors or misinformation that they may hear. Finally, the pod liaison officer serves as a point of contact for cooperating agencies. Liaison officers may also be asked to inform staff about the needs and considerations of certain coordinating agencies during the general briefings.
Please keep in mind that the just-in-time training will be held in room 201. Please remind all your staff that the training will be in 201. Pod liaison officer, I need you stationed over that direction over there.
Following the general briefings, section leaders will meet with their staff for just-in-time trainings or section-specific briefings. The general briefing may provide an opportunity for the pod director to introduce these section leaders and tell staff where their briefings will be held.